Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by... Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van equipment reviews, and SDR articles, and more. Pick up your copy today at teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
The Philadelphia Phillies pregame show, brought to you by Safeguard Mutual Insurance and by Woco Department Stores.
The Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, and good evening, my friends. Happy Friday night to you as we make our way, and we're winding down now to our final episode of Season 3. It's still amazing to me. I remember sitting in this chair right here, doing all the work to get ready for Season 3 and being like, I can't wait till they get to see this. And now it's almost over. It's here. But we're coming back. We'll be back in the fall. But we have this week and next week, so we have some time for some DX now. And next week to enjoy before we take a bit of a break for the summer. Hopefully the DX has been good where you are this week. Had a chance to do a little bit of AMDX, a little bit of FM, a lot of administrative work, trying to get some stuff kind of moving and in place and that kind of stuff to get ready for the upcoming FMDX season, and at the same time kind of start putting some prep work in place for the next AM season, which for me, I always draw the line, September 1st. That's the start of the AMDX season for DX Central for Lloyd. So already kind of putting some things in place for that, and like I said, getting ready for the FM season. I got to do some antenna work this week. You guys know I love doing antenna work. That's one of my favorite things to do, is actually get to play with antennas and stuff. So we did two things, both on the FM side this week. Got the Stereo Probe 9 that our friend Les Rayburn very kindly and unbelievably generously donated to the cause here. He had an extra Stereo Probe 9 Channel Master Yagi sitting up in his attic and said, "It's unused in a box, you want it?" And paid for the shipping and sent it down here to Louisiana from Alabama. So we have that now in the air, sitting on a rotor, and it is working so good. It is working so good. Did some test runs with it earlier this week, and was doing some comparisons to some notations I had made of signal strength. I think you guys saw in the logbook, my little band scan page that I had put together in my logbook for my local area FM stations. I had notated the dBs, the signal strength of the local stations, and every single one of them, as you would expect. Well, let me take that back. Not every single local was stronger. The ones that were kind of moderate to longer range out were stronger. So Lafayette is now no longer a Tropo only. It's a daily visitor here now into Southeast Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana, KSMB on 94.5, thanks to the Stereo Probe 9. So I'll continue to do some more working with it and testing and things like that. But so far, so good. Also, some of you may know I ordered a Centerfire FM dipole. Centerfire, the name of the company. It's an FM dipole, vertical dipole. Put it up this week. Yesterday, actually. I wanted to make sure I had it up in time for today. Brought that in through the window panel into my RSPDX. So I have that on the RSPDX, which is kind of an omnidirectional antenna the dipole is, so that I could use that for Tropo and for E-skip openings, in case my beam, my Yagi is pointing in the direction that's not conducive to where the DX is coming from. In the meantime, while I was trying to swing it over, I've got the dipole. So far, testing on that's been kind of mixed, if I'm going to be honest. It's 95% probably error on my side. It's somewhere along the line on the install. So I'm going to do some tweaking on it this week and playing around with my feed line, maybe even the placement of my antenna. I took two of those 10.5-foot fence top rails you guys know I like to use, stacked them on top of each other. It has a separator, a non-conductive separator, to pull it off of the mast. But even still, it's not really pulling in signals like I thought it would. I had to back the gain off in SDR Uno a little bit, so it's getting stuff, but it's just not really performing the way that I thought that it would. I do have a 24 dB preamp, RCA preamp I can throw on there. I don't know. We'll see if we need it. But I'll do some tweaking on it this weekend, so that'll be a fun project for the weekend, and I'll let you guys know next week in our season finale how it went, hopefully. We've got so much to get to today. I had to actually write it down. You guys know I usually go off the cuff, but today I had to write everything down. We've got our medium wave frequency challenge that we've been doing here, week 25, 1410 through 1440. You also probably saw, for those of you who saw it on social media and on the IRCA email reflector, some of the other email reflectors, I also announced a midweek challenge for week 26, our final week of the year, 1460 through 1480. That's now underway and will be running through Tuesday night. I'll talk about that here in a few moments. We have our week 24 results to get to, which was 1250 to 1280. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk about next week's episode and some of the things on the agenda for next week. We're going to talk a bit about some FMDX stuff, some AMDX stuff. We got our usual shout outs we need to get to. There's been some questions on some gear questions that I've seen in social media I want to touch on. Logging questions that I saw on the Slack channel, I want to touch on those. Yeah, just so much to get to. And guess what? We're already up on it. We're already up on the first top of the hour. Can you believe it? This top of the hour alert, before we get fired on, this first hour of Live DX is brought to you by National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org. Go there. Get yourself a membership in the NRC today. All right. So, we are sitting here. We got our Perseus up and running. I did change back to the yellow. The blue is just too passive for me. I needed the yellow to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. So, I'm back to my usual screen here. We're sitting 1410 through 1440 and 1460 through 1480, as we mentioned. So, we've got that queued up here on the RSP, on the Perseus with our Jaguar software. We also have our AirSpy HF Plus Discovery sitting here on 1480 right now. We're going to start here for the top of the hour, and we're going to check out to our northeast, which is where I have the CAS antenna here on the AirSpy. On the Perseus, we have our usual east-west right now CAS in the front yard. We have our front and backyard northwest southeast CAS, actually pointing southeast because of the aurora this week. We'll talk about that in a bit. We do have our RSP-DX also running, but right now it's rigged for FM. And you see here, those are the signal traces that I have here right now on that dipole, which is antenna B right now. So you can see not as good as I thought it maybe I would see. So we'll talk about that later and look at that. But we're going to start off here with the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery because we are in record mode up on the Perseus. So we'll come back and check that. And let's start off on 1480 and work our way down here on the AirSpy. Yeah, right off the bat. If I had to guess, this is probably WABF Mobile, Alabama, with the free ride here. Why isn't this not playing? Play! Of course, I hear the song and I instantly think of the baseball game season and scene in Dazed and Confused, which that movie is part of the reason that I own that beautiful black square body Chevy truck that's out in the driveway right now. One of my all-time favorite movies, Dazed and Confused, is. There we go. They must have ID'd before Free Ride started. Because now we're talking about Shaft, that bad mother. Shut your mouth. 1470, we don't have anything there right now. It's still pretty daylight outside. So nothing on 1470. There's Baton Rouge. Hoping that this would be, let's see, is that considered Alabama? No, I think it's considered Mississippi. Yes, Lucedale, Mississippi, WVGG Country Talk is what they're labeled as. Unless is this, no, that would be KTUV. Probably Montgomery. That's my guess is Montgomery. Whoops. Wonder if they're carrying the LSU Alabama game for baseball tonight. Go Tigers. Come back to it at 1430. Already? All right. There you go, Ray. See, I've been hoping that our international friends weren't of the opinion that this frequency challenge stuff was just a U.S. game, because it's not. That's why this season I made sure, either through a range or by deliberately picking frequencies that are on the 9K splits, that we always had something for our U.S. and our international folks. And Ray just let us know that sitting on 1431, looks like he had a shot here in Abu Dhabi. Not bad, man. I say not bad, like, oh, that's pretty good. No, that's awesome. And even your what you call mundane. I mean, when you look at our frequency challenge stuff that we have here, our logs that we submit for our 10 kilohertz stuff here in the U.S., a lot of it's routine stuff. You know, it's the stuff that we hear day in, day out. So we just like having you be there, and gives us a chance to have something to kind of drool over, seeing the stuff that you're able to hear over there. So there was KTBZ, the Buzz in Tulsa. Let's take a look at 1420. This would be WACT in Tuscaloosa. My FM. That's who that's going to be, I would assume. Based on what I've heard this week. And then 1410 WNGL Mobile. So I want to show you the difference here. So this is the Northeast CAS, and I've got it kind of dialed in here on the vactrol to null out stuff on the backside from the Southwest. So you'll see here now, obviously, again, it's still kind of sunny outside. We haven't hit sunset yet, but that northeast antenna pulling stuff in from that direction. Conversely, and you see where that terminator is right now, that gray line terminator. Let's look over here on the west-facing CAS, which is now pointing away from that terminator, and seeing what we have. Let's start with 1410. You go back at upper side.
Yeah, we have a couple of callers. From San Francisco Bay Area.
So there's Mobile again. No Tuscaloosa on 1420. Right? No Tuscaloosa. Possibly we have Alexandria, or I'm sorry, Lafayette here with KPEL. Alexandria's usually higher. KPEL on Lafayette here, possibly, because they are sometimes heard here daytime. That's who I assume that one would be. 1430. Possibly could be Tulsa or Keys, maybe here in Gladewater, but nothing super great yet. Because again, I'm pointing away from the gray line, so I'm not getting any. I'm pointing away from the enhancement essentially. 1440. Nothing really. Some weak stuff in there. There's Baton Rouge. Possibly Lake Charles here on 1470. Where we didn't have anything on the northeast antenna. Here we are pointing west, possibly Lake Charles. And then we had Mobile here. Not really. So you can see the difference that A, directionality makes, and B, that gray line. That gray line makes such a difference. And even though it's not over top of us yet, in pointing in that general direction towards the northeast, that's where the signals are being enhanced from, is in that direction, because that's where the gray line is coming from. Just something that I always find interesting is kind of those dynamics that the atmosphere this time of the day starts to play, even in the summertime, right? So we're knocking down the road of summertime. It's almost May. So this late spring, early summer time frame that we're either getting into now or whatever, even this time of the year, you see these very interesting dynamics during both morning and evening gray line periods, local sunrise, local sunset, where you see things a little bit differently than you see during the DX season. I talked about this in my April column that I put into my article that I put into the Spectrum Monitor. So, kind of keep that in mind as we move forward here. I know we've got one more week of our live streams left here for this season, but that doesn't mean that the DX season on the AM side is over just because, a lot of people kind of hang it up for the summer. Is it going to be harder? Yeah, it's going to be harder. More static, more noise, more daylight, which means you have a stronger D layer, which means you're going to have more absorption, which means it takes longer to get to the skywave nighttime conditions than it might normally. Not just because the sunrise or the sunset's later, not just because of that, just because it takes longer for that D layer to really dissolve fully. Is it going to be more, more thunderstorms and lightning crashes you have to deal with? Yeah. But can you hear some really interesting stuff? I had a little dust bunny there. Interesting stuff that you don't normally get to hear the rest of the year? Probably, yeah. So this is a fantastic time of the year. Don't just be dismissive of late spring into summer for AM DX. I've heard some fantastic DX in like July, August, June, right? Some really good stuff that I didn't really hear any other time of the year. We just had a conversation in the Slack channel. Earl, our friend Earl, was asking about our personal distance records on AM. What's your personal distance record? And I forget what my number was, like 5,400 miles, like 5,400 or 5,500 miles. It was 1476, Benin, Transworld Radio, the country of Benin in Africa. And I checked my log. It was heard in July of 2021. I haven't heard it any other time. There they were in July of 2021, in the middle of the summer. My all-time AM DX. That's my all-time. In 30 years of DXing AMDX, I've never heard further than I did in the middle of July when I got Benin 1476 Transworld Radio. So, use that as you shall. All right. It's all staticky there. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some more live DX heading your way. We've got shout-outs to get to. We've got all kinds of interesting stuff to talk about here, so We're going to get right to it after a quick break. So don't go anywhere. More live DX and DX Central Live is heading your way.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Happy Friday night to you, my friends. And like I said, hopefully a good DX week for you, wherever you might find yourself this week. If you were DXing from home or out and about, I know, Rick, you've been traveling, and I see that you're back safely there in Omaha, so glad to have you safe and sound. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got AM stuff to talk about. We got FM stuff to talk about. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about with our weekly frequency challenges, which reminds me, we need to actually probably start ourselves off here with our results. But before we get to the results from week 24, as a reminder, I'm going to go ahead and do it formally now. We usually do this later this hour, but since the cat's already out of the bag, we already announced it Wednesday to give you guys time to be able to get everything done. Let's go ahead and do the announcement formally, I guess, for our final week of the Frequency Challenge, week 26. All right, so not a surprise there, no news. You know, obviously we announced this already, so here's how it works. So tonight is the last night for the 1410 through 1440. So we're going to wrap that up at our usual time here at the top of the hour. We're gonna end that 1410 through 1440 piece of the challenge. Now, normally I do usually leave the Google form open for a couple of extra hours or so after the closing of the challenge for the week, just to give everybody a chance to get any last minute logs into the challenge. But this week I have to be pretty tight on it. So at the end of our show tonight, when we wrap up DX Central Live tonight, I will be going and closing the Google form for this week, for week 25, 1410 through 1440. So if you have logs to get in for this week's challenge, get them in between now and the end of tonight's show, and you should be fine. I will shut that one down at the end of tonight's show because I need to go ahead and run the analysis on that one this weekend, because our other challenge, 1460 through 1480, actually started at 0100 Wednesday morning. It's 0100 UTC Wednesday morning, or I guess 8 o'clock Tuesday night, Central Daylight Time. So 9 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central or Mountain, and 6 o'clock Pacific. Tuesday night, it started this week. That's 1460, 1470, 1480, our last three frequencies that we haven't done yet in a week. In the last two seasons, that is going to run and be cut off around the same time Tuesday night this week. So that'll be 0100 UTC Wednesday, which is again 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Pacific on Tuesday night. On Tuesday night at those times, which is 0100 UTC, and then from 9 o'clock Eastern / 6 o'clock Pacific time, I shut that form down because I have to run that analysis Tuesday night, Wednesday, and then I have to go right back around, and we're going to do the analysis on the entire season as a whole, all of season 2 of the Frequency Challenge, and then have that ready for our broadcast Friday night for our last episode. So, get your logs in for this week, week 25. You have until the end of tonight's show to get your logs in for week 25. And I'm giving you guys this intel because you are our audience on DX Central Live. A lot of you here every single week, so you guys, you get preferential treatment. I'll be honest. Other folks who don't come every week, they know and they should be getting their stuff in. But you guys have a little bit extra time till the end of tonight's show to get those logs in because I thank you for being here every week. You guys are amazing. So, get your logs in between now and the end of tonight's show for 1410 through 1440. Get your logs in for 1460 through 1480 by Tuesday night. Around that time, around 9 o'clock Eastern-ish. It may be an hour or so after. It just depends on when I get a chance to come in here in the shack and shut it down. But it'll be around there. So... and then, like I said, we'll have results from week 25, results from week 26, and results from the season as a whole. 3 separate videos / results pages for next week's show. We just did our last frequency announce of the year, right? Let's listen to it one more time. Okay, that's enough. I just like the music. All right, so yeah, get those in, and we'll get you guys ready. So now let's go and look at week 24. Put your thinking caps back. Hit the time machine back to last week, 1250 through 1280, and we're gonna look at the results from week 24 with those frequencies in mind. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. All right, so there you go. Week 24 officially in the books, as it were, with our results video there. So congratulations to our category winners and our overall top dog, Barry. And whoever, whether it's Barry next year or whoever it might be, you're going to have to bring it if you're going to overtake what Barry has done this season. I mean, I'm not really letting the cat out of the bag. I know we're going to do our results video next week and our results for the overall season, but there's no surprise here, right? Barry has consistently been top dog every week, and I'll do the final count on how many weeks he's been top dog this season, as well as everybody else as well. But if you're wanting to take that crown next season, Barry has raised the bar, right? Bill set the bar last season, our first season, and crushed it, and then Barry went and so next season it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm working on some ways to improve the overall process and the workflow for getting logs in. I'm working on some stuff for that for next season. I don't know how it's going to go, but I have some things in works that I'm trying out and looking at, and so yeah, that's our week 24 results. And like I said, we have our last week, 2 weeks, so one ending tonight, one ending on Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, and then that's it for the weekly frequency challenges until we ramp back up again for next season. However, this is the big however, I don't want to leave you guys in the lurch. I want to have something that we can all enjoy and do together in our downtime in between next week and September 1st, early September, when we come back for season 4. So next week, I want you to make sure that you join us. This is going to be a very awesome episode next week. It's going to be a party. We're going to have a party next week. And next week, we're going to announce details on something that is going to be available for all of us to do this summer together. AM and FM. How about them apples? I'm not going to go into details yet. I'm going to say this for next week. But we're going to have a new thing that we're going to do this summer. I'm very, very excited about it. Sean Cusco is in our chat right now, and I know because I've seen him over here chatting. This is actually Sean's idea, because I've been looking for something I wanted to do for the summer, and I wasn't really sure what to do. Sean came up with an idea, and I was like, dude, genius. How are we going to pull this off? So we pulled in a man named Mike Leary. Some of you may know Mike. And so Mike and Sean and I have been talking and working diligently now for months at putting together and cooking up something very, very special for us for this summer. So, all that being said, make sure you join us next week on our final season finale episode of DX Central Live. And we're going to give you all the details, and I'll even hopefully have a chance to show you some of it. It's going to be awesome. And like I said, AM and FM DX will be part of this, if you so want it to be. So make sure you're here next week, because we're going to have a really cool thing to talk about next week. Also next week, we'll have our results video from week 25, 26, and the season as a whole, and review all the results from that. We'll probably throw some DX in there as well to have some fun, because you guys know we like to do that. And shout-outs. Here's what I want to do for the shout-outs. I would like to do, you guys know how we usually do. We're going to do it here in a little bit. Our weekly shout-outs, where we say new logs, new states, new countries, new Canadian province, new Mexican states. We keep adding the categories here, but new stuff that you've done since we last talked last week. What I want to do for next week, and that's why I'm telling you about this now, I want you to have a chance to gather this all together. Let's talk about what we did this season. How many... And I want to make sure we have a chance for everyone to get a shout out next week, right? So even if you didn't log anything this week, or if some weeks you don't log anything, I want to make sure all of us have a chance to get a shout out next week. So let's come prepared. I'm going to ask you to do some homework here. Come prepared next week with how many news stations did you log this season? How many new states did you log this season? New countries you logged this season? And then anything else of noteworthiness, right? Did you break a mileage record? Did you get further than you ever had before? Did you add some new gear to your setup this year? Did you set a goal for yourself and then bust that goal wide open and nail it. So this is, again, not just going to be related to just the challenge frequencies or the challenge specifically. This is in general for the 2022/23 DX season. I want to know total next week. How many stations did you hear? How many states new stuff did you get? New stations, states, countries, Canadian provinces, all the stuff we usually talk about, right? And then also, what were some cool moments you had this year? Like, give me a cool moment of, I set a goal for myself to get to 1,000 Bill Curry and busted that 1,000 this year. We want to talk about that. I want to have some special congratulations that we can give next week. So this week we'll still do our shout outs here that we're about to do here in a little bit and gathering up. We're still going to do our usual let me know what you got in the last week stuff. But for next week's season finale, do some homework, look over your logbook, your tally marks, your spreadsheet, pivot tables, whatever you got to do. Bring some stuff in here so we can get you some shout outs for the entire DX season. I want to make sure that every single one of you that are here is part of our DX Central family, and all of you are part of that because most of you are here every single week, or the weeks that you can't be here is because you're doing something really cool and important or whatever. But you guys are here with us throughout this season, so I want to make sure that every single one of you get a chance to have that horn of victory blown in your honor, some log saws or whatever it is. I want to make sure we can celebrate you next week. I'm not getting emotional. There we go. Why is the horn of victory up? Oh, there it is. There's the horn of victory. So yeah, we want to be able to celebrate you next week. This is all about the season finale is celebrating you guys. So bring that with you to next week's show, and we're gonna party. We're gonna throw down. Bring your beverage of choice if you want to. I'll probably have some. It's Cinco de Mayo. I'll probably have a margarita or a cerveza or something with me next week. So we're gonna have some fun. Speaking of shout outs, we'll be gathering those here in just a few moments. So gather those now. Everything you've heard in the last week. And we'll get those shout outs in. And also, some things to think about for next week. What are your projects going to be for the summer? I know there are several of you. Troy, I know, Sean, I think Mike, Mexico Mike. You guys are getting your feet wet and kind of dipping into the FMDX stuff now, right? So, what are your thoughts for what you want to accomplish this summer? What gear have you purchased to prepare, or will you be getting ready for? What are your antenna projects, your gear projects? Get ready for get those kind of gathered up and get them ready for next week as well. Want to talk about what we're going to be doing while we're apart for a couple of months, basically. Speaking of FMDX, you guys know with our live streams, it's been AMDX centric, and the reason for that is it's much easier to run afoul of the copyright flag stuff on the various streaming platforms when you do FM, because they usually have more current popular music and they watch out for that kind of stuff much more closely than on the AM side. And usually there's also static and other things on the AM side that make it easier to kind of not have to worry about. That being said, I do want to try doing some live streams this summer, kind of off the cuff, when there's an eSkip opening, or if we have some other big Tropo opening, things like that. I don't know how it's going to go, because last time I tried to do a live stream FM, I did get hit with a copyright strike warning, which is scary enough. But if you get more of those, they can really start kind of cracking down on your channel. And I don't want to lose the channel because we're doing, something that we are doing for the channel. So, but we're going to try to do some live streaming stuff. So we may try a little bit of that tonight. I was going to try to do it last week. We ran out of time. Maybe we can try to do some tonight. Looking at some FMDX, maybe trying that new dipole out. Speaking of the dipole, I do have a video that I'll be working on. You guys know on the YouTube channel, I have fallen out of the routine that I was trying to do of putting out new content on our DX101 series and some of the others. I have a bunch of air checks to upload, and then we have a bunch of topics that I want to cover on DX101 videos, how-tos. I want to do a update video for our logging video that I did with all the new stuff that I'm doing now, and show you guys how I do that with Google Sheets and Google Forms and Google Sites and all that kind of stuff. And one of the videos I'll be doing is the dipole install, because I did that one kind of different. It's at 21 feet. Yeah, 21 feet, two 10.5 foot fenced chain link fence top rails, stacked on top of each other, and it's up against a tree. It's about a 20-foot tall tree. It's up against this tree, and I had to do some unique stuff to get it up there and kind of keep it there so it won't fall over. I'll show you in the video, I have a unique situation at my house here that we're renting. The way that the roof of the house is kind of sits, there's not a lot of really good opportunities for high altitude antenna placement for like FM. I can go crazy with things that are like 12 feet high. I can do that all day, right? I can mount a 12-foot high antenna. I can do 100 of those. The only limit I have is my window panel and how many inputs I have. But anything really taller than that's kind of tough because the way our roof is shaped. So I was trying something new this week that I hadn't done before, which was basically using a tree as a replacement for a high roof. So we'll be putting that video out probably within the next month or so. I want to do it during FMDX season because we're talking about an FM dipole here. So this might be something that helps some of you guys out that are looking in your yard going, where the hell am I going to put a freaking FM antenna? This may give you some ideas to look at. All right, so we're going to get back into some live AMDX here. I don't want to take up all the time talking. I want to do some live AMDX. And we were sitting, I'm just kind of giving ourselves a chance for the sunset gray line here to kind of get a little bit closer to us because we're finally getting to that period. Let's take a look back at our new frequencies that we're running for week 26, 1460 through 1480. And let's see if we have anything new yet on the Perseus west-facing CAS. If not, we'll swap back over to the Air Spy and see if we have anything on our northeast CAS. So I'm going back through now the chat, so I'm seeing what you guys were talking about while I was yammering on. I had a question there from Mexico Mike about setting up a Google Forms. I'm assuming you're talking about the shoutouts. That's actually a brilliant idea. Why did I never think about using a Google Form for our shoutouts? Yes, I will work on that. I will set us up with a Google Form for our shoutouts. That's brilliant. Why did I never? I've been always using the chat and saying, just send it to me in the chat. I'm going to set us up a link now to use for our Google form. And it's going to be the same link. It's never going to change. How about that? We're just going to have, from now on, our shout-outs will be presented through Google form. You can just put it in there whenever you want to. And I'll just basically delete anything that's, already been done off my list. And then we'll work from that down. There you go. Problem solved. Love it. This crowdsourcing solutions. Love it. That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to start working on that right now. That way, you guys don't have to worry about sending me the shout-outs in the chat. I don't have to worry about writing it down. I'm going to get this Google form made, and we can start using it tonight. How about that? Why did I never think of that? Trying to decide what format I want to use here for this thing. So we did hear an ID from WABF Mobile, but now we have a Spanish station coming in, which I'm going to assume is possibly something I don't have yet. So I'm seeing you guys are talking in the chat that the stream is kind of choppy here. Frozen? Let's see here. Switch cameras and see if that helps at all. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hold on. Everything was working fine earlier, and I even did a restart to make sure that the stream would be nicely smooth for us, and apparently that didn't work. Already been. Okay. Are you guys caught up? Video's still frozen. Oh wow, that's like 5 minutes behind.